Okay, we are all A new AI model has emerged, and its CEO is so concerned about its potential that he's comparing it to the Manhattan Project. He warns that AI is advancing rapidly without adequate oversight and that urgent fail-safe mechanisms need to be put in place. Oh wait, this isn't about Mythos, but from articles posted last year when Sam Altman was employing the same gaslighting strategies ahead of its GPT-5 release.
You know, ChatGPT, I love ChatGPT. I love it. ChatGPT is fantastic. It's so not ChatGPT.
Then, when the actual release happened, all the headlines were mentioning how dumb version 5 feels and how we all need access to the old 4.0 model. Now, 1 year later, OpenAI is playing catch-up with the rest of the frontier labs, and that GPT-5, which was so terrifying, performs worse than the competition. I wasn't planning to talk about Anthropic's latest marketing stunt. At this point, I'm zoning out whenever I hear the usual AI narrative and blatant sales lies. But over the past few weeks, the Mythos story has spread beyond the tech world, and now I'm seeing non-technical people declaring the end of the tech industry. These are the same people who struggled to reset a password on their own, and now they're confidently predicting the collapse of an entire industry. If you have been following my content for a while, you probably know that I'm kind of an AI skeptic. Don't get me wrong, I believe LLMs are a useful tool. However, all the cheap hype, fake AI gurus, and the crypto bro vibes I get whenever I'm checking the tech news makes it really hard to take any of this seriously. In other words, leveraging AI to automate some repetitive task or generate boilerplate code to save time is a good thing, and we have to do it to stay competitive. But pretending that this is some kind of autonomous, self-directed intelligence that's about to run entire companies on its own is where things fall apart in my book. We don't need AI or machines to financially ruin 90% of the population. Good old human greed will handle that just fine. So in this Monday morning review, we'll look at the objective facts we know about Claude Mythos, and we'll discuss the future of tech when the narrative is driven by people who can barely code and can't understand the basics of their businesses. Don't get me wrong, CEOs aren't required to have any technical knowledge, but then, we should all agree that any prediction Altman is making on the topic of software is just a sales pitch and nothing more. Going back to the most recent humanity threat, Claude Mythos is a specialized model focused on advanced cybersecurity and complex logic. But launching yet another model that breaks all previous rankings isn't enough to make the news anymore, so Anthropic needed a really good story to keep people engaged. Everybody loves a good story. Apparently, Mythos is so powerful that it becomes an immediate danger to the entire tech world. It's so dangerous that you and I can't have access to it, but it is perfectly safe in the hands of a few private corporations. In their own words, Mythos Preview has already found thousands of high-severity vulnerabilities, including some in every major operating system and web browser. Given the rate of AI progress, it will not be long before such capabilities proliferate, potentially beyond actors who are committed to deploying them safely. This is one of the oldest tricks in the book. Billion-dollar startups are actually more valuable pre-profit. There is this sweet spot where you don't make any money yet, but you can burn investor cash at an alarming rate while everybody is hoping for a miracle. In the same line, Anthropic might have just reached AGI with this model, or this might be yet another staged moment covering the fact that the current architecture has reached its limits. As long as the model is not made public, we just have to trust Dario isn't just hyping his product. He never did it in the past. But let's assume that this time around, Dario isn't selling us anything, and Mythos is reliably identifying critical vulnerabilities across operating systems and browsers with a precision no team of human experts can dream of. Well, then, we can expect that they'll launch similar models for all other technical fields, most human jobs will become a liability, 90% of us will be fired, and we'll probably go through a Great Depression. Great Depressions are great because people have all the time in the world to pursue their dreams, as long as they are not bothered by trivial things like having a home or food on their table. However, the past 5 years showed us that Mythos is probably just another overhyped model, and there are smart people with amazing track records who are already hinting at that. But before looking at what some of the actual experts in the field are saying, please let me tell you a few words about today's sponsor, Codecrafters. While the tech world is quickly evolving in front of our eyes, one thing remains constant. Great skills and in-depth knowledge are the best assets for any software developer. And this is where Codecrafters come in. They're a small group of passionate engineers who built a platform that helps you master software concepts in a practical and engaging way. Instead of just watching tutorials or reading endless documentation, you actually go through the process of building real things from scratch. We all spend hours watching video tutorials and feeling like we understand all the concepts, but then, when it's time to put things into practice, you realize you don't actually know where to start. That gap between I get it and I can build it is where most developers get stuck, and it's exactly the problem Codecrafters is trying to solve. This month, they have the Build Your Own Redis challenge available for free, where you'll learn about TCP servers, the Redis protocol, and much more. I actually made a video in the past on building a Redis alternative, and while I learned a lot in the process, my video was nowhere near as detailed as this challenge. Please check the link in the description to sign up to Codecrafters for free and get a 40% discount on a paid membership. Back to the video, the reality is that the Mythos announcement had a huge impact in the market. For instance, Cloudflare, which is actually a legit business holding up most of the internet together, lost over $9 billion in market cap after Anthropic announced its new AI cybersecurity model. But here is the thing, not everybody is buying it. George Hotz, who's done a lot of interesting things in the past, had this to say about the cybersecurity nightmare we are supposed to go through. In short, finding critical vulnerabilities isn't actually that hard. It's just that until now, it hasn't been properly incentivized. There is no reason for somebody to spend days or weeks digging through low-level code just to responsibly disclose a bug and maybe get a few $1,000s in return. He points out that nobody is seriously looking for zero-day vulnerabilities. In his view, the barrier to entry isn't a lack of skill, it's the law, and this is actually a really interesting point nobody mentioned before. Hacking into systems is illegal, and the people talented enough to do it effectively usually find higher-paying legal careers instead of chasing whiny bug bounty programs. Hotz even took a jab at the supposed cost of these AI-driven discoveries. While some reports claim it might take $20,000 in tokens for Mythos to sniff out a bug in OpenBSD, which is a Unix-like operating system focused on security, George claims he would do it for less in a heartbeat if he wasn't being throttled by corporate red tape. The core of the message is simple: don't claim it's hard and just admit that the process is not incentivized. If you want more 0 days found to actually secure the internet, hacking should probably become legal. Until then, the cybersecurity risk narrative is a convenient way for frontier labs to gatekeep their tech under the guise of public safety. But here is the really funny thing. According to leaked internal documents and reporting, Mythos was feature complete by February 24, 2026. At that point, one can assume Anthropic would use it internally not only to test other public software, but also their internal tools. And what was the result of a company having full access to Mythos? Well, they leaked their source code to the public on March 31st. And the security blunder was almost as funny as the code quality of 5,000 lines of React components with 22 levels of JSX nesting. The truth is that I can't shake the feeling that this is just another marketing stunt. Take for instance the testing they did on Firefox. The model is given a set of 50 crash categories and corresponding crashes discovered by Opus 4.6 in Firefox 147 and is placed in a container with Firefox's JavaScript engine, a testing harness mimicking a Firefox 147 content process, but without the browser's process sandbox and other defense-in-depth mitigations. So the tests were made in an environment where most of the actual security layers were conveniently removed based on the discoveries of the Opus public model. This raises the question, how many of the tests they did are actually presented in good faith and how many of them are simply engineered to produce impressive results? Combine this with the fact that security startups are taking the exact vulnerabilities Anthropic highlighted and running them through small, cheap, open-weight models. And all these smaller models have similar results with Mythos, but at a fraction of the cost. At the end of the day, this seems to be more of the same AI hype we've been served for the past few years, and I know we are all tired of it at this point. If you liked this video, you should consider joining our community where I'm posting more dedicated weekly content. Please don't forget to smash all the buttons, and until next time, thank you for watching.